There's something called the Norwegian breakfast. There's an average of 15 more points in the IQ when children start out with it. That was the recipe that Kellogg created, where they would sweep the yeast out of your body, which repopulate the good bacteria, bring all the flora back. They interchangeably use the word sin, the devil, and yeast. When you look at the US, it's literally yeast extract, sugar, soybean oil, and everything. They call it vegetable oil so we don't catch on. A lot of these ancient religions, they say don't eat pork. If you eat a pig that eats grain, there's something in our mouth called amylase. Amylase converts this grain into sugar, and that sugar feeds the yeast. Grain is not our friend. It's not very good for us. Getting rid of the devil out of somebody, that's called an exorcism. And by the way, I put myself through it, and it is 100% a yeast cleanse.
So you were in here taking like photos, just chilling. I came in, and then they left, and we were having a conversation, and we were starting talking about like SEO or whatever, and I was telling about my buddy who's got podcast studio, and he realized the drop off of why he wasn't getting ads was because he needed to run SEO more targeted towards ChatGPT, because we were trying to Google something. Right. Oh, you were trying to Google level what?
You're trying to gargle.
Google
Level 4-1
of Mario.
Mario,
because he said this room looks like that.
It does.
What?
Yes, we're in the game.
Finally.
And we're eating
It's
mushrooms.
only taken me like
then-
20 years,
And
no
then
longer than that.
Take it from
like
there.
30
Your
years.
website.
Yeah, so my website it's called thegurt.life, and what it does is it displays. I do gut healing, and this is just it's a framework. It's not even real information. It's made out of AI, but it's got the framework of the types of testimonials that I get. I'm still assembling them, but even without having real information yet, I looked and I had 4,000 hits, over 4,000 hits just from the framework. And I've literally tapped into all these things.
You should look at his page. It's just literally just it's just one thing.
I wanted to tell you what it is that I do.
Yeah.
It's very specific. So my company is the Bearded Lady, right? And the idea is...
Wait, what?
Yeah. The idea is to have... essentially use the masculine and feminine side of yourself to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So, and I listen to a lot of podcasters, and they all have, like, the really popular ones all have one thing in common, and I hear this a lot, is when they're talking about what they do, they did something for themselves first before people were like, wait, what is it you're doing? Whether it be healing themselves, whether they're playing music for themselves, whatever it is, you have to work on yourself first.
Yes.
Before people will actually want to do it. And
yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of people have that backwards. What they'll do is they'll work on other people, and people don't want to hear it because they're like, hey, how am I going to trust gut health if your gut is...
Yeah, those are the frauds.
Right. So what I do is, the idea is, let's restore us back into the wonderful machine that we are. Like, literally... millions of years, we've had the same gut flora.
Just keep that mic real close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up until recently, have we not had certain species? So there's certain parts of you that if you're missing, you're not operating on a full deck.
What caused the transition that we no longer have certain species?
We're not playing in the dirt.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah, like immune system shifts?
Having glyphosate in all of our brains.
Yeah, that's fucking our flora. Yep.
And then the other antibiotics. So by taking an antibiotic even one time, there are certain species that are not resilient, and they will die. They will go extinct. And extinction means they don't come back.
Wow.
Hey, I think there's something wrong with his mic.
You take this one.
Okay.
Trying now?
Okay, do you want to speak?
Yes. Can you hear me?
There's something wrong with it. It might
Okay.
not be on. Maybe the switch is off. Oh, yeah, someone. Yeah, maybe.
What about now?
So-
That's what it was. It was
So we've heard nothing of what I've said so far.
I could ambiently hear it, but it didn't sound like it.
Okay.
Restart. Just
So
do a quick restart.
I'll restart.
Spot to start.
Yeah.
So, my company's goal is to get us back into the healing organism that we can be. Okay. And so I have a collective that I work with, and we're taking data on people. We're solving issues, and we're figuring out exactly what that looks like. From the very basis of it, we should be able to make our own medicine. So I grew up playing video games. I grew up playing Mario. And there's the Mario mushroom that makes you big. There's one that gives you the flower. There's the poison mushroom. There's each side of it, right? And that's basically how medicine is, right? There's certain things that bring you up, certain things that do whatever. And then there's stuff that brings you down, right? The thing is most pharmaceuticals, they do both. They will bring you up. They will make you big, but it's at a detriment at later, right? Yeah. But our own internal medicine is different. So there's a turf war that's going on between our bodies at all times, okay? And there's the species of bacterias that are literally giving you your power-ups. They give you your serotonin, they give you your dopamine, they give you your oxytocin, your testosterone, your estrogen, all the things that make you you. So they're those. And then there's the yeast, which is fighting for the same warm, moist spots, which is everywhere in your body. And what they do is they provide 400 plus different metabolites that are all poisons. Okay? So all you need to do is feed the good ones, and you get all your things. You get your medicine, you can heal, you can be strong, you can...
All the factories turn back on and start producing
literally
what
all
they're supposed to.
I mean, it's mental health. It's everything.
It makes sense, yeah.
There's some serious mental health things. I'll get into it in a second, but I wanted to give you an idea of what this looks like too, right? So with these poisons, when we feed these poisons, it's all yeast. And like, it's been known for a very long time, for perhaps tens of thousands of years, that yeast makes people poisoned. In fact, you ever heard the term bread in circuses?
Bread and circuses, yeah.
Yes. And so
distract the society with bread and circuses.
Exactly. And so what bread and circuses means is every emperor in the Roman Empire always gave free bread, unlimited bread to all of their masses, because bread is yeast plus yeast food, and it makes people go to sleep. It makes them so they don't rise. And then you distract them with the entertainment. Shit. And it goes more than that. It's not just the Romans. And the Roman system is very much alive and well. You can see it in our architecture. You can see it. There's Latin America. You can see it in our banks that have e pluribus unum, our medical, our universities. You graduate summa cum laude, and our law, which is it's Latin written everywhere. If you went to a school that taught Latin, you are in that caste system, that echelon of the caste system, where you're going to end up being the banker. You're going to be the lawyer. You're going to be the doctor. You're going to be the professor. You'll notice that if you went to a state school, probably the professor wasn't from here. They were probably from another country, because they have very specific guidelines as to who is going to be in power, right? Wow. And so if you look at the major populations of the world, there is the Roman system, there's the Chinese, there's Islam, which is mostly Persia and Saudi, and then there's the teams that control the North and the South Pole, and that's the Russians in the North. And you got the Nazis who moved to Argentina, who we just gave $40 billion at random. Thank you, Trump family, who came from Germany in the 1880s. That's crazy. So the way they do it is every single case, it's some kind of yeast food and some kind of heavy estrogen. So in the Roman, let's look at Latin America, it's rice and beans. Rice, when we eat it, it turns into sugar and it feeds the yeast, okay? The beans have lots of estrogen. It makes us calm, okay? When you look at the U.S., it's literally yeast extract in everything. There's sugar in everything. There's soybean oil in everything. They call it vegetable oil so we don't catch on. Oh, shit. Okay? You go to Islam, Persia, Saudi, it's all rice or potatoes and lots of beans. If you go to China or anywhere in Asia, it's all rice and soy. I mean, we've known this for a very long time. They've bragged, hey, we can keep the prisoners from revolting by feeding them lots of soy. They know this. This is a very real thing. And so what happens when you have these things, there's a lot of things that arise. We're talking about skin issues, ADHD, Alzheimer's, the whole nine. I'm going to get into that in a second, but the way it distracts the masses is it affects their mental health to start. That's number one. But also when everything else in your body starts not performing optimally, we get distracted like, oh yeah, I just don't really get out of bed because things are all hurting and aching and everything, right? So there's been ancient methods of how to get rid of this yeast, and it's been going on for a very long time. Okay. In fact, if you look at ancient patristic writings, Babylonian texts, Persian texts, the Old Testament, the New Testament, in each of those cases, they interchangeably use the words leavening, sin, the devil, and yeast. And so I've outlined in my article that I wrote all of the different verses in all of these different books where they're calling this the leavening of society. We're calling this whatever it is, okay? And to the point where there was actually a club that used to meet about 2,000 years ago, led by this guy Yeshua. And what they would do is they would hang out, and they would, once a week, they would eat unleavened bread with raw milk and or yogurts. They would have red wine, and that was good because it has resveratrol, which breaks up yeast biofilms, and also the alcohol in it makes it so it crosses the blood-brain barrier, so you get yeast out of your brain. The other two things, by the way, I forgot to say this, the cereals mixed with raw milk, that was the recipe that Kellogg and Graham, the cracker guy, created, where they would sweep the yeast out of your body, and then when you sweep that yeast out, those yeast pockets go away, and you replace it with all the raw milk and the yogurts, which repopulate the good bacteria, bring all the flora back. In fact, there's something called the Norwegian breakfast, where when people take it, there's an average of like 15 more points in the IQ when children start out with it. My sister follows it with her kids. Her kids are all brilliant. Like, I'm talking about like on a level that is abnormal.
What's the breakfast?
So it's a unleavened bread or like really hearty grain that does not change in your body. It's like extremely insoluble fiber that sweeps the yeast out, and some kind of like raw goat milk or some kind of yogurt or whatever it is, and it just sweeps out and replaces everything. And so there's a lot of populations that have independently come up with this recipe too, and it works really well. Like her kids, man, her one son, I remember 1.5, when a lot of people are not even talking, he's telling me full narratives about how the bear doesn't hang out with the shark. He's got his little toys, and he's like, the bear doesn't hang out with the shark because they're in different ecosystems. Wow. I'm like, how do you know this word, you know? And he's like, well, the bear, he's eating salmon because he lives by the river. And the shark, he lives in the ocean. I'm like, you are like, holy cow, you speak more eloquently than a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this is like a real thing. There's a real recipe for this that works really, really well, right? And then the fourth thing, they have them eat ruminants, aka they say cloven-footed animals that chew their own cud. Yeah. You've heard this.
Say that one more time.
Cloven-footed animals that chew their own cud.
Like cows.
Cows, goats, sheep, even camels, deer, bison, buffalo, even giraffes. All these many-chambered stomachs, they have a different process for breaking things down. So in a lot of these ancient religions, they say don't eat pork. Well, if you eat a pig that eats grain, there's something in our mouth called amylase. Amylase converts this grain into sugar, and that sugar feeds the yeast. Okay? When we eat grain, it converts into sugar, it feeds yeast. You can tell which populations of people, regardless of what year, you can find a 10,000-year-old skull, 100,000-year-old skull. If all their teeth are rotted out, they found grain. If none of their teeth rotted out, then they did not find the grain. And it's like that with every single skull record possible. Grain is not our friend. It's not very good for us. However, ruminants, when they eat it, they don't have amylase in their mouth. They have all these chambers. They can convert it directly into meat. And so for the longest time, they were continually doing this and like trying to find these animals and domesticating them. So they had one of every animal that can possibly convert this directly into meat. It was very efficient. It was one of the biggest things that separated humans from being hunter-gatherers. They're settlers. They have great agriculture. And then, so just a side story, there was back in the day, and I don't know how much you know about world geography, but the Mediterranean used to have a big ice dam right where Spain and North Africa met. And that...
The Iberian Ice Dam?
Yes, it was called, it's on the Rock of Gibraltar. That whole thing was a big dam.
Yeah.
And because there was a big dam there, interestingly enough, the Mediterranean was evaporating water faster than it can fill up. So there was basically just a river that ran through there. A lot of people inhabited that zone. Now, over time, that filling up with water and then going down and filling up with water, a lot of nutrition built up in that area. So it was a great place to farm. So there were a lot of people that lived there. So when people lived there, they domesticated some animals, all these animals, these ruminants. And one day, and they show fossil records, not fossil records, but geological records, the Russians dug a hole called the Kola borehole. It's 7 miles deep. And they can see where there's different places of ash, places of nanodiamonds is evidence of asteroid, right? Because if it doesn't exist on Earth, then it must have come from intergalactic or wherever, or not intergalactic, but from somewhere outside of this Earth, right? Yeah. Anyway, so they found 12,500 years ago, there's nanodiamonds followed by lots of ash. So they're like, okay, so the world was on fire.
Yeah.
And nowadays, they can actually look at certain areas, like they look at the Missoula floodplain, they look over Africa, and they found that there was like a 70-year period where all of these floods happened after an asteroid burnt a lot of the Earth and just made the end of the Ice Age, to where all these ice sheets were just breaking and all these dams breaking. Well, so in North Africa, there was a guy who said, oh shit, we're going to lose all of our animals, and this is going to take us back to the Stone Age. And so they had hundreds of generations of animals that were all domesticated. So he started building a boat. And he built this boat and he put all these people, again, I'm not religious, but this is like, not just in religious texts, it's in like every ancient text they talk about this, because it's a really big deal. Because most of Europe was just basically ice, right? So all the inhabitants who were kind of Europe-esque were basically North Africa, right in the Mediterranean, right? So eventually this dam breaks and that thing floods all the way east, takes it all the way through. And if you go to the north end of Turkey, which is at the end of the Mediterranean, there's a place called Mount Ararat. And this is where suspected, though, you know, there's a lot of media saying, no, that's not true. But Mount Ararat, they say they found the Ark. So that's Noah's Ark. Also, that's the birthplace of literally all of the cheese, all of the yogurts, all of the milk and dairy-based products. So it makes sense, right? Also, that mountain range is called the Caucasus Mountain Range, a.k.a. where the Caucasians came from. So from that mountain range, they repopulated all of Europe.
That's crazy.
And so also because they had the yogurt, and if you look like Eastern Europeans, they all have yogurt. All the Greeks, they have yogurt. Even in Iceland, they have yogurt. It's one of the biggest things that separates out a society and makes them fire on all cylinders. They figure out yogurt. And the way yogurt was discovered is what they would do is they would do sheep's bladders, right? And they would carry drinks around in there, but they would milk them first and put the milk in the sheep's bladder. Well, the bacteria from mammals is the same in other mammals. So when they're carrying around these sheep's bladders, what they found is it started gelling up the milk, and they're like, what is this drink? This is crazy. And they started drinking, and they're like, oh my God, all my problems are starting to go away.
It's crazy.
I just needed milk in a sheep's bladder to ferment and
Exactly.
and then drink it.
And what's interesting about that is very specifically sheep's bladders. So think about this. You have a couple ways that you get rid of toxins out of your body, right? So there's your kidneys, there's your liver, right? And there's also your skin. Those are three of the most effective at getting rid of toxins out of your body. But when they get out of your kidneys, where does it end up? In your bladder. So toxins are in your bladder. That's what you expel. Okay, so there's something called an opportunistic species. Okay? Right now, they just discovered in these thermal vents in the bottom of the ocean, they found these snails that can exhibit something like 400 degrees Fahrenheit and just sit on these thermal vents, and they are literally the most metal thing you've ever heard. In fact, they're made out of iron. They're they're red snails with these dark black shells that are completely made out of iron, like cast iron. Like they gotta be heavy, right? The reason they're there is because they figured it out. So that's what happens with opportunistic bacteria. There's another example, right?
What did they figure out?
They figured out how to live there.
Oh, they figured out how to live there.
They got an open
They figured
space.
it out.
You know, it's like if humans figured out an island nobody's been on, they're like, hell yeah, run free, and we got all the food, let's go. If you figure out how to live there, there are going to be people there, right?
Yep.
And that's how opportunistic species exist. And they're also called extremophiles, a lot of these, right?
Extremophiles.
They love extreme environments because that's what they live in, right? So there's another extremophile. So there's these people who live in Greece, and it's a centenarian place. There's a
blue zone.
Yes, a blue zone is what they call it, right? So in this centenarian, this blue zone, there's like a waterway in there right on an island that people are always swimming in, and it's radioactive in there. And so people are like, whoa, you can't swim in there, it's radioactive. But the people who are living there are living to be over 100 years old. Okay, so what's going on there? Are they getting special powers? Are they the Hulk? Are they Dr. Manhattan? Or is it possible that wherever there's an extreme radiation situation, that maybe there's an opportunistic bacteria called Debrecki that is consuming things that are a part of radioactive waste? So by swimming in it, what happens is you might accidentally consume some of the bacteria that eats radioactive waste out of your own
And then
body.
it cleans you out.
And it cleans you out. So, I mean, they found this in Chernobyl. After Chernobyl, they have, there's a pack of wolves that goes around, which, by the way, wolves have maybe the best bacterial situation in their entire, of any species on Earth. Do you know why?
No.
Because the first thing they do, they sniff each other's butts, right? You know what they're looking for?
Hot.
They're looking for diversity because they go on the prowl. You ever heard of an FMT?
No, but that's exactly why I sniff people's butts of different races.
Right on.
I have to
You
sniff
got to get
black
to know 'em.
butts. I have to sniff Asian butts. I have to sniff all the butts I can of different types.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
So what's an FMT?
okay, so an FMT is a fecal matter transplant. I can literally take
yeah.
bacteria from one person's
I
gut.
know some people that have completely healed their gut issues from that.
It works.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yes, you can give yourself special powers just by the gut bacteria. Like I said, you can make yourself into the powerhouse, the factory for all these power-ups, right? So what dogs do is they'll go on the prowl and they'll go eat different kinds of poo. Gross.
That's why they do it.
But they have something in their mouth, they have enzymes in their mouth that makes it so the nasty things that would actually hurt them don't bother them anymore. And then what's the first thing they do when they see each other? They lick each other's mouths. So there's three main points of increasing your immunity to literally everything. Number one, be vaginally birthed. That's where you get your first inoculation. Yeah. Number two, breastfeeding. So you breastfeed full term. Number three, grow up around animals. Yeah. People who grow up around animals, they can drink pond water.
Yeah.
They have no issues with that. Because what happens is when nobody's paying attention, the dog goes and licks the baby's mouth.
Yep.
And I know people who are like, absolutely not. We do not let that anything
Licks
go
their
near that
face,
kid's mouth.
You gotta
They're
toughen
put
that
them in
kid
the
up.
dirt, man. That's the best thing for them. You know?
Yep.
So anyway, reestablishing these species the way we are, you're invincible. Like you're you're unbelievable, right? And so back to the story of there was this club that was working on building up their immunity and getting rid of the yeast out of their system. So this club,
Yeshua's club.
Yeshua.
Yeah.
And so Yeshua started getting really big, and people started paying attention like, wow, he just cured all these people's skin disorders by getting rid of the yeast. They didn't know exactly what it was. All they knew is evil spirits were in them. The devil was inside this person. Also, getting rid of the devil out of somebody, that's called an exorcism. And by the way, I put myself through it, and it is 100% a yeast cleanse. Every single time I've seen it, it's a yeast cleanse, which also binds together with heavy metals, also heavy metal cleanse, right?
Whoa.
So there's potentially projectile vomiting. There's straight up things coming out of you. You are a different person on yeast. There's a character
believe
you've
it.
created.
I believe it.
We
But keep going, sorry.
We have different egos that we have created in our lives, and one of them is centered around yeast. Let's pretend, like, actually, every single person is full of all these different characters that you just kind of know what to be like in a certain situation, right? And if it's a new environment, you're kind of feeling off, right?
Yeah.
But you won't realize how many different characters you are until you're hanging out with your partner and you go and visit your parents for the first time, and they're like, babe, why are you acting like such a smart ass? You're like, what are you talking about? This is the way I always am.
Totally.
And it's because you've just morphed back into that person that character that you've been the smart ass all these years. And so you have these characters that you've created for all these different scenarios. There's the study version of you. There's the one who watches TV. There's the one who goes out and dances. There's all these different people, right? Let's pretend, since you were a little kid, that your social character, every time you started out with, say, a birthday event, there's either cookies, cake, ice cream, or candy. Every single time. And so essentially what you've done is you've taken a character that's kind of almost quarantined to only those environments, right?
It's like Severance. It's like Severance.
I've never seen Severance.
Oh shit. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so you essentially summon this character by eating the candy because the yeast goes, yes, we've got this. It's not metabolized. You're not getting the energy because you've actually metabolized it. There's not enough time to metabolize it. It's like as soon as the candy cane touches your mouth on Christmas, you were like, yes, let's go. And the dopamine starts releasing and you start feeling great and you're hyper. And as you get older and older and this continues to go on, not one day you discover beer. Which
This is where my head was going. I was like, I can't wait till you get to beer. That's what I was wondering if you're gonna get there. Okay.
And you're like, oh, I know this game. I know how to hang out with people when I'm hyper
Totally.
on
Yes.
yeast plus yeast
Fuck.
metabolites, you know?
Yeah.
So then you continue doing this, and then it starts taking a toll on your body because yeast is kind to you initially, but afterwards you are drained. You have a tough time. They call that the hangover, right? And so, again, another yeast metabolite, acetaldehyde, gives you severe brain fog, right? So alcohol, which is a metabolite of yeast, converts into acetaldehyde, which eventually turns into acetic acid, which is vinegar, which is actually anti-yeast, which is good, but that's your body like trying to protect you. Okay? Anyway, when this happens, okay, eventually you might get older and say, you know what, I don't feel like going to parties where I drink anymore. And then one day you're just hanging out at a party and you're like, the fuck do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
Totally.
So you almost have to recreate that character.
For
So when I
sure,
quit
yes.
drinking, which I drink occasionally because that's my relationship I want with it, that I don't want it to have complete power over me to where when I relapse, it's called a relapse. That's what the 12 steps teach you, and it makes you so you freak out. It's really a cult of like, I need to see my cult. I need to go back.
Yeah.
But if you figure out how to find the power within you to have this new relationship with alcohol where you're like, okay, I know it's a poison. It's actually causing more problems than just the day after. It's
Yeah.
literally fogging my brain
Yes.
forever and making it so I don't have logical reasoning. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But when you create that relationship, it's like you have to summon that character somehow. So one thing I did was I actually used ketamine therapy because I needed to see from a third-party perspective what is Drew doing that's so fun, that makes him so fun when he's doing alcohol, you know? So I don't have to summon the alcohol just to make it go. I don't have to summon the yeast just to make it work. I can be like, oh, Drew's fun because he's goofy, and I watch myself, and it was kind of like almost like holding my hand to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Okay.
So like you could now see it, and you're like, that's what it actually is giving me, and I could just become that character.
Yes.
And I don't like it's not. I just give myself permission. So you recognize what it was giving you, and just step into that.
Yes, and there's still like little triggers in my head that I have to come up with and think about it because I can't naturally do it sometimes. So I'm just like feel a little awkward. But to be honest, like most parties you go to, even like you know, people pregame, I got to give myself some liquid courage. Like go to the party anyway and still be drinking, and you'll still feel awkward in the first hour. You just kind of forget about the fact that it was a little bit awkward in the first hour.
It's also like, I feel like when I stopped drinking, it just became very clear of the spaces I actually just didn't want to be in or enjoy being in. And I'm like, oh, I just need to go do things that are actually hold my attention and are interesting with interesting people.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah, it's like
sometimes
all of a sudden
it's
things
tough.
are so clear of like, oh shit, I don't even like this thing. Yeah.
Well, we're creatures of habit, and we kind of just do the things, and if like when we were kids, we were really good at just making fun out of nothing, right?
Totally.
So you really have to tap into your inner child to see who that character was before the alcohol.
Drew, the whole time you've been talking, all I've been thinking about is you little. Like, I can't stop thinking about your little boy and like who you were as a little kid. And like, because I
actually have a really good picture of me that I want to show you. So, and I think everybody should do this too. This is one of the biggest healing things. So I had a heavy shroom trip.
Okay.
And I was hungover, and I looked at myself in the mirror.
Oh man, that's rough.
Oh my God, I looked terrible. And I looked at myself, I was like, man, what the fuck are you doing to yourself? Mm-hmm. And my 10-year-old boy came out, and he looks at me, and he's like, Drew, we didn't imagine this.
Oh.
That's powerful.
He goes, when we were kids and we were looking and we were thinking about what are we going to do when we get older, none of this is what we're doing. After that, like now, I look in the mirror on shrooms and I'm like, whoa,
that's cool.
There you are.
That's
and
cool.
I love it. And I'm like, man, you got muscles and things that you didn't know you could have. You were
like
just
a
a little
test.
boy.
It's like a test. By looking in the mirror, you can test where you're at with yourself.
Well, when I first saw you and you came in and I hugged you, I was like, oh, I like want to play with his little boy. Like my little girl wanted to play with.
I love it. I saw it immediately.
Like I felt
yes.
that. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
So this is my guy. This is my calibrator. This is my man. This is my little boy.
Oh,
this is me.
My God.
10 years old.
What?
And so you know what I did with that picture?
So
I blew it up.
Show
I have
the
a
camera.
picture on my wall of him, and I put him up there, and every time I leave my doorway, I look at him. I try. I need to do it more often, but
That's fucking amazing.
I think everybody should do that to remember where you came from.
That's
The
fucking
eyes.
amazing.
I love your eyes in
Thank
this
you.
picture.
10.
Me too.
100 out of 10 tip. Idea. Totally.
Yeah.
Imagine if every person just did that. Just even if
Oh,
they
yeah.
weren't fully bought in, they just, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. It would for sure change
Eventually,
everybody.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure. Like even all the, like, say some grumpy old dude and all this, like if that face is looking at you every time you leave the door, something's going to start to happen over time, for sure. It's going to start chipping, even if it's like a tiny bit, for sure. That's awesome. But you still have to tell us about the thing that you do with the thing. Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna have to go get
Don't yet.
myself prepared
Just
for
real quick.
Tony's set. Okay.
So
okay, you'll just have to watch the episode.
So the thing that, well, I do want to finish the thing that got me on, like getting rid of the yeast and getting the idea that the yeast is actually the issue, right? So when I saw myself, I looked at myself, it looked terrible, and I actually started crying. I was like, wow, the fuck are you doing to yourself? This is not good, right? And there was this woman who came out of my beard. It was a beautiful, like African woman, and she like reminded me of like a Mother Earth character. And she came out and she goes, "You don't have to do any of this. You are perfect the way you are." And so that's kind of, my company's called Bearded Lady.
That's
Fuck,
fucking dope.
dude.
Because there's the masculine side, the building, and there's the feminine side, the nurturing, and I wasn't nurturing myself. I was constantly building, but I was forgetting to nurture myself, and I saw this woman in me who's like, you can take care of yourself. So I want to tell you what goes on when we have a lot of yeast. It's not just the 400 metabolites that are poisoning you, but there's also yeast pockets that are literally in the corner of your intestines that do something. It's called an allelopathic response, okay? So you ever notice pine forests? They have pine trees and like, where are the other trees? They drop pine needles. They literally change the soil so only pine trees can grow there.
It's
And
true,
maybe
bro.
some other things, right? And also these guys too. These grow really well underneath pine trees. That's a different story, right? But that's allelopathic, right? You ever see ringworm or you guys ever seen ringworm?
On someone I've seen it.
It's literally a ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the inside is like a little fuzzy something or other.
Okay.
The fuzzy thing on the inside
Yeah.
is the fungus.
Okay.
It's the same as jock itch and athlete's foot. It's the fungus on the inside. The outside is no man's land. Oh. That's a secretion that has converted your skin into, there's no more bacteria there. Now it's trying to consume. Let's take that over. That's going on inside your gut.
Fuck.
Okay? This is how antibiotics work too. There was penicillium is the name of a mold, and it secretes stuff, and it creates a no man's land. That's how they know it kills off certain things.
Crazy.
Also, there's a lot of things that create these type of antibiotics. For some reason, we chose penicillin as the thing, right?
Interesting.
No.
Friend.
Give this guy a microphone.
So anyway,
I know him. Smart people.
I'm transitioning out.
Okay.
yeah, what's going on?
I brought them for you.
Yeah, I would love them.
What? Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you so
I knew
much.
I brought them for someone, and it was for you. Yeah.
What are they?
Eye patches.
Oh, that's awesome.
Does he look tired?
Do you want to?
No, but these are great.
No, they are
But he
great.
could look
Really?
No, I have a whole pack. You put them in the refrigerator. It's
Not.
not right now, but like if you get a bunch of them, I put mine in the refrigerator.
Positive. I put one.
Wait, is it thicker side outside or on the inside?
You-
thicker
yeah,
side
it's-
outside, right?
Thicker's
Let me.
outside.
Can I help you?
Yeah, please.
All right, look at me.
Oh, that feels really nice.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine this was like in the refrigerator.
Is Tony going on next?
Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. You look amazing.
Thank you. Okay.
A man of good taste.
Adam has wanted to be on this podcast all night.
So, the response. Okay, so when you have these yeast pockets in you, and it's really, really powerful, did you question what I was going to talk about here?
I mean, I knew exactly what you were going to talk about, Drew. Like, there was not even a doubt in my mind this is what this podcast was about.
Yeah.
But you're so much more than gut health. I
You're so much
respect you
more
as a
than these
man.
pockets.
I talked about some other things.
No, but no. Like this is
But he hasn't heard it.
no. This is important because I want people to know this,
All
right? Like
fair.
people need to know this.
I didn't interrupt
People
him. He
need to
interrupted
fucking know
himself.
this. And,
He
you know,
stopped.
he's doing he's trying to be very meticulous, explaining the entire picture.
I know. He's really good at it.
He's almost mapped it almost all the way out, but we haven't gotten to the thing yet. And we're
Totally,
almost
totally.
there.
Yeah,
We've
finish the-
We've gone a
I'm
10,000 mile
interested in
journey.
hearing
We're
the
like
thing.
9,998 maybe, and so we got to finish the journey. So like
okay.
the listeners
Well,
want to finish.
So here's what
Yeah, okay.
happens.
Can I make my joke? It's shit at the end.
This is how the gut goes. 20-some feet. It's a lot of shit. So there's a chemical in particular that is responsible for more issues than any of it, and it's called LPS, lipopolysaccharide.
Okay.
Okay. And it is, you can't get rid of it. It is the coating of all the bacteria in your body, so you will never get rid of it, but it's just supposed to flush out. So back to the thing about allelopathic. So when you have these yeast pockets that are literally just folds and folds of lots of different kinds of yeast, a whole matrix of yeast plus heavy metals involved in there too, they have that secretion which opens up mucosal lining in your intestine to where there isn't any, and you don't have that protection. Now you're eating things that shouldn't bother you with lectins, and it scrapes through and it allows this LPS to get into your blood. What does it do? Well, they injected people just to see, and within a half hour they were suicidal.
Wow.
And over 70% of everybody has it leaking in their blood constantly. So this is like the mental health crisis is entirely based off of this. Not entirely, I'm sure there's other things, but like when you look at how 70% of everybody has it constantly and the other 30% has it sometimes, like you clear this up and we don't have a crisis anymore.
Yep.
Okay, and so this is known too, like I said, you can control populations with this by feeding them the bread, feeding them, and they use gluten as the scapegoat, but that's not really the issue. So
Grain
is what
Rice, just beans, or the beans is considered like legumes.
Well, so beans, what they do is they have the estrogens and stuff, and they have some other different kinds of starches. Some of them are good for your gut. Some of them are tough for your gut to break down.
And you have to really prepare them probably in a certain way, and
Right.
most times they're not. And so they're doing damage, right?
Right, exactly.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
What do you know about the gallbladder?
The gallbladder?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people get gallstones because we're supposed to have fat in our diet, but what happened is in the 80s and 90s, they started propelling this idea that low fat was going to get you to be less fat.
Right.
When the reality is it's yeast.
Wait,
and I
okay,
can
you're going
show
down
you.
a different road than I was thinking. My question is about, do we actually need a gallbladder?
Yes, so that's what I'm getting at. So your gallbladder, what it holds is bile, which helps you emulsify your fats.
I don't have a gallbladder anymore. And they told
Okay.
me it was no big deal.
I know the
And
system in
now
place does that.
I just got diagnosed, or I'm about to be diagnosed with this thing called BAM. Do you familiar with this?
I'm not familiar with it.
Bile acid malabsorption. So basically, my body just dumps bile. Anytime I have anything that with fat in it, like my body just dumps bile into my body, and my GI doesn't know what to do with it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's super fucked up.
Did you have gallstones?
No, I had a different surgery, and they were like, "We're just gonna take your gallbladder because it's in there, and if you ever need surgery again, if you ever need to get your gallbladder out, there'll be a lot of scar tissue." I have an insane scar I can show you. I had liver surgery, which is a whole other thing, because of high levels of estrogen. You were saying.
So it's interesting because traditionally the doctor's supposed to be the medicine man that you're supposed to trust, right?
He's not.
But he's not the healer in this case, and he's saying stuff. You'll notice that if you want to find out what causes heart disease, it'll have the American Heart Association stamp on it. So back to what I was saying, we live in a Latin system, right? We live in a Roman system.
Oh shit! I forgot you went all the way from there. That's wild.
There are people who went to schools who, if you learned Latin in that high school, chances are there are people driving up with Ferraris, 16-year-old kids with Ferraris to that high school. If you didn't go to that school, nobody's investing in you to try and be a leader of change. They don't want you. You probably end up going to a state school, if a school at all, and you are not being invested. We live in a caste system, a serious caste system, where you are not to be the one that is going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had experiences even with law. I left a company and I was being sued, and I hired a lawyer, and I was like, I swear this guy is working for the other team too.
Whoa.
He is not representing me.
Whoa.
And he goes, well, that would be illegal. I'm like, yeah, but you know all the laws, so you would as possible by literally putting their stamp on Cheerios, which is known to be carrying glyphosate and be causing diabetes and all these other things. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. We're not even going to tell you to stop eating it when you come see us. That's
crazy.
kind of, that's double dipping,
Yeah.
to be honest. That's their marketing campaign to make people sick.
I disagree with that. People are out there trying to make people sick. I think someone taught me this when I was younger. And it's that there's no they. It's just a bunch of people doing the best they can and trying to do what they feel is right for them and theirs. So I don't think anyone's out there being nefariously trying to poison people.
Okay, so now we're going to bring up Johnson & Johnson. I'm glad you brought this up. So Johnson & Johnson, if you look up at some of the patents for very for treatments for very rare diseases, you can start looking into the causes of what these diseases are, right? So there's some diseases that are caused by benzene leaking in your system, okay? And one way that you can get benzene in you is if you take sodium benzoate and combine it with either
It's falling apart.
citric acid,
Bringing it down.
either citric acid or ascorbic acid. If you look at all these Johnson & Johnson things that they have, literally all of Target, you know, and every one of them has those two ingredients in them. Why? Because they own the treatment too.
I think the correlation is not equal causation.
Yeah. I mean, we go off on this tangent. I know.
This is a too far of a side question.
Yeah. We got out of the gut. This is just the shit at the end of the
day. Like have that like as a thought experiment, but like definitely we have to keep going on this.
Keep going on the story, please.
So
I'm gonna see this motherfucker through.
On the
people
story.
People are like edging to the max. They're gonna like they're gonna their balls are so blue right now, but they're gonna when they come, they're gonna come so fucking hard, and it's gonna be great. Do it.
Okay, so LPS causes these issues. They also did an experiment with mice just to show what kind of issues they can create. What they found is, so they did this cute experiment where mice would poke one thing and get grain immediately, or the other one would be to poke this other thing and they have to wait a few minutes and they get chocolate. So it was really cute, right? And most of them were like, yeah, let's get the chocolate. It's way better than grain, you know? So they would hold out. Then they inject him with LPS. And literally none of them touched the chocolate ever again. Huh. And that's because they needed the immediate reward. In fact, they were hitting the grain so much, it reminded me of...
What is LPS again? So,
lipopolysaccharide. That's the outer coating of the bacteria that gets in your gut, or that leaks in your blood, and they call that leaky gut.
You got it.
Right? 70% of everybody has it leaking, right?
Yep.
So the mice were like just getting that craving. And what it looks like is that guy at the party just continually hitting cocaine over and over.
Yeah.
The guy with the vape.
Yep.
The person who has the shopping problem. And it's literally, if you look at it, again, I was mentioning these ancient texts saying sin, the devil, leavening, and yeast are all used interchangeably. That's because it makes you, when you have that low dopamine and all that LPS, it makes it so you chase the high reward without the long-term consequence. We're talking about like porn addiction. Instead of having a partner and working on yourself and actually trying to be a better you and having this relationship where you have sex, so you just look at porn. It's a lot easier. Or get a hooker. It's way easier, right?
Totally.
Instead of getting a job and earning money to buy some stuff, you could just steal. It's a lot easier, you know? Yep. Or instead of making something that might be sentimental that could work really well, let's just buy it. I'm just going to buy a bunch of stuff on Amazon. Yep. And it's literally, if you taste every one of the 7 deadly sins, it's all low dopamine levels. So, and this is, they call that the leavening of society, okay? So there's ways to confront it. You could say, well, why don't we just hit it with antifungals? You could. The problem with the antifungals is what happens is you have this whole matrix of different yeasts, right? And if you hit it with an antifungal, it might be that you only kill the outer layer. And underneath that is some resistant yeast that is not going to do it. And if you continue hitting with that antifungal, eventually, yeast is so good. Fungus in general is very good at sharing its own DNA. And it will literally share the DNA that makes itself resistant with the other yeast that isn't resistant yet if it keeps on getting hit with that kind of stress. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Once you create a completely complex situation down there that is resistant to every type of antifungal, you're going to be messed up for a very long time.
For sure.
Okay? So I want to go back to this the story of the Yeshua people who are all hanging out and doing this and trying to get rid of this yeast to get rid of the leavening out of society. So eventually what happened was there was someone from the Roman team decided that they needed to make a statement. So they took Yeshua and they crucified him. They strung him up in front of everybody and killed him. And so everybody went silent. because they're like, oh God, we can't coordinate like this anymore. This is not good. This is putting us at danger. We'll say for about 40 days. And then they said, you know what? Fuck this. I got so much brain fog. I'm never going to deal with that again. I would rather go for broke and just continue. And so this team got really, really big for hundreds and hundreds of years. So
Team called.
we'll get there. The Yeshwins, you know.
Team Yeshua.
So the Yeshwins were organizing, getting bigger and bigger, and the Romans did not like that. They were fighting them. At the same time, they were fighting the Persians, okay? They've changed so many names. At the time, it was called the Sasanian Empire. We're talking about right around 400 AD. The Sasanian Empire at the time, their major religion was called Zoroastrianism, okay? So they're fighting the Persians. Guess what they're fighting for? Spices. They want spices, they want the land, but spices is really important because spices are antifungals. So when trying to fight for these antifungals, eventually, you know, they've been fighting for almost 1,000 years because the people who own the Roman team know the yeast is hurting the people. But they personally, they want this medicine for themselves. So eventually they're like, all right, Sasanian Empire, what are you guys doing? They say, well, we're Zoroastrian. They said, who's that? Like, what's Zoroaster? They said, well, he was born 600 BC. He was born of a virgin, died on a cross, and raised from the dead. And they go, oh, we like that story. In fact, we're going to use that story. And so what they did is they did the same thing with Black Lives Matter, with Occupy Wall Street, and with gangster rap and NWA. They took it over from the inside. And they forced them. They said, hey, Yeshua people, you're going to be called Catholics. And you have to be Christian this time. We're not fighting you anymore. You have to be. With NWA, they took it over, the lawyers, the Latin speakers, and they made it so, hey, we're going to post all your rap songs all over the radio, but we're going to choose songs like Wet Ass Pussy and doing 100 on the highway and stuff that is all like really low vibrational stuff, keeping them down. With Black Lives Matter, they made it so everybody had to have it on their helmets, the very people who were having the biggest issues with what's going on. Mm-hmm. And every system was completely taken over from the inside. So what they did was they took it over, and they have a thing.
I love you, man. Your stories are wild.
Well, I'll say this real quick. It makes sense because I follow this one guy who just freestyle makes music, and then guys will come up and rap. You go through this guy's page, you hear the most insane rappers, old dudes, whatever, and you clearly recognize, holy shit, there's so much fucking insane rap talent. Where is that? And everyone's like, I want to listen to that, but it's not being put out there, and that proves the point. You're like, well, where's all the good rap gone? With it, you go through like I've heard insane rappers, just old dudes in a sweatshirt come up and they're like, oh, just play me a beat, and they fucking the craziest shit that would have been insane back in the 90s.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's not there.
James Brown, man, that's the way the original soul was, you know. And when these people would, you basically in the old days, you could go up to a bar, whatever, and they'd have a band playing, and you would say, hey, I got some licks, can I sing? And they'd be like, yeah, come on up. And so you go up and you hear him. You can hear James Brown telling the band what to do.
That's
He
cool.
says, all right, take it to the bridge. And then they do, and hit me. Bam, bam, bam. You know, they do that. And they have their songs that they got some things on their mind.
I never thought about it like that.
And so rap is ancient too. Like they've been doing this for a very long time. I taught in East Houston. So I taught at a school that had, you know, it's North Shore, which is huge. There's like, there's between the senior high school and the freshman high school, I think they had something like 8,000 kids in their system.
Or is that,
That's Galena
That's
Park
crazy.
ISD.
okay.
Right?
1,000 kids.
Well,
Holy
I had a
shit.
student.
It's like a small town
It is.
or a big town.
Well, and their whole goal was to create as many football players, aka military people. I'll tell you about that. That's a different story.
Okay,
but one of my students, he says, "Hey, Solsky, can you come see me rap?" He says, "Wear something nice. Pretend to be my manager. It's all about image." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." So I go out to this club, and his rap was absolutely beautiful, exactly how you describe it. I'm like, "Wow."
Just like things that meant something.
Yes, it was.
And also wordplay. You're like
Wait, this was a
black
student of
belts.
yours?
Yeah.
Black belts with words.
And it was philosophy in there, and it was like lessons he'd learned and things that were all good. And then there was a couple other people who also had things, but not like him. He was really a magical human being, right? And then I saw this group there were these 4 rappers that were all together, and they had lawyers with them. They had their record label people with them, and they were singing about the stupidest shit that's literally like talking about ice in the grill and like yada yada. And it's like stuff that is really bringing their vibration of their entire community down, and just like throwing it up and exemplifying how wonderful this makes us. And they're like, no, this is just the hard times we're talking about. I'm like, yeah, but this guy's talking about success story and how he made it through a good situation. He's not.
It's like a guy writing like beautiful literature, but the ones that get the clout is like 2nd grade level writing.
Exactly, 100%. And those are the ones who are going to continually be chosen. That's what you're going to always hear on the radio from here on out.
And then you're like, do, poop, penis, guns, bang, bang, right? Just like basic stuff, not to actually think. Where this stuff's like just hidden, kind of. Unless you're in the community and hear the guy rap.
Agreed.
Is
I
there
think-
anyone who's mainstream that you think is of that level?
Honestly, I can't even listen to rap anymore. I used to listen to Tupac. Like that was I have a CD of Tupac's that's what I grew up with, and I loved it.
Do you guys know the guy I'm talking about? So he's a white dude. He has a keyboard, a synthesizer, a beat machine, and he walks around New York. And he's like, people will come up to him, old heads or whatever, and they'll be like, yo, make me a beat like dirty this or that. He'll literally within 30 seconds kind of make a beat, and then they'll just walk with him while he's walking, give a mic, and they'll fucking rap. You can go for hours watching people do crazy shit. There was this one, I literally saved one of them. I'll play it afterwards. These 3 like 60-year-old black dudes, just like weathered, they're just city guys. They had the craziest back and forth. They're just passing the mic around, and you're like,
so
holy
cool.
fuck. And it's so good. You just keep watching the reels over and over again because you're like, that's so good.
And it makes them witty, makes their brains work. It makes like there's so much
There's energy. Like you
Yes.
can see it.
It's
There was
an art.
because
It's
people
an
because they're in New
instrument.
York, people are gathered around and they're like they're feeling it. They're feeling it. Just
Yeah.
like soul and jazz was like that's what it did. It gave energy because it was pure.
Well, so the what comes from that is you're talking about individual talent versus mass appeal, right? So the problem is that people want things that are simple, right? For the most part, the people
long as
that
they
you
have yeast, they will,
people that you surround yourself
Be
with.
digestible.
You get your dopamine fucked up, you will want because you're looking for dopamine. That's like
Right.
that's basically what's happening is you have been deprived of your own dopamine system, so you're unable to strive for things that are challenging, and so then you stay stuck in like dopamine,
these
dopamine.
loops. And so I want to tell you about some of these loops, this LPS. So when I've tried over a dozen different yeast cleanses with varying success. There was one in particular that was a straight up exorcism. Okay. And it started out, I projectile vomited, and I was hanging out with a girl. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with me. You always forget, in every single one of these, I forgot that I was in the middle of a yeast cleanse. And she gave me some like ginger tea and stuff, and I just like projectile. I'm like, I gotta go. I was hanging out with her in her trailer. I'm like, I gotta use this tree real quick, and it just went all over. And then I was just like miserable. I spent the night with her. She took care of me. She's such a sweetheart. I'm like, I gotta go home. I went home, and I just felt like trash. It was like the worst trash. I had a 3-second attention span. It was like I had Alzheimer's.
Wow.
I had fibromyalgia.
Wow.
I was like, if I wasn't clenching constantly, I would have lost my bowels, and I did multiple times.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And what I saw is what was coming out of me. It looked like if you took a handful of nutritional yeast and just tossed it in the toilet.
Wow.
It was so powerful. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I kept with it. I even did like a fast along with it. I just didn't consume food because I'm like, I just want to see where this goes. But
Yeah, let's squeeze it all out.
yes.
Let's
and
not mix up other stuff and clog it. Let's do it.
But then it got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm losing too much weight too fast.
yeah.
And then I had things coming up too, because I did this for like 11 days. And I was like, or maybe it was 9 days, but whatever. It was over a week, and I was like, man, this sucks. And as soon as I went back to eating and stopped doing the cleanse, my brain was absolutely the most crisp it's ever been.
That's crazy.
I had no ADHD. I went from like during COVID, especially with drinking a lot, I was like, anytime I'd be like, oh, I'm going to do some laundry, I'd be like, no, and this thing and this thing and this thing on the way. I'd start 10 things on the way. And I was like, I have no executive function. This is wild. Like, how am I getting this bad? So, which brings up the whole inspiration of this whole thing was, so my brother, I grew up with him, and he had all of the things that I have, the ADHD, but his were like times 20.
Okay.
Zero function whatsoever, right? And so what that looked like is incapable of having one-on-one conversations whatsoever, right? Wow. When he was a kid, he couldn't, it was just group settings. But it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it'd be a lot of like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you because I was thinking about the next thing I was going to say, like always. Wow. Right? Which, when you're like that, that puts you in a different category of people. All of his friends were also like that, right? Yeah. So when he actually had an issue where he was drinking himself to death and he had a seizure, that's when I started really doing a deep dive into this. At this point, I had been doing fermentation for over 20 years, trying to understand different properties, and I recognized that just chugging kefir, like I was making my own kefir, the real kefir, not the stuff that's in the grocery store, that's fake. That's reconstituted 12 different species that are not really what kefir is. Real kefir has 60 to 70 different kinds of species of bacteria that we know of right now that are mapped, but there's a lot going on in kefir. And so when I did that, I was like, man, my mental health is way better. So I started really diving into that. Wow. But anyway, so my brother, he started getting worse and worse and worse. And ultimately, he made a choice. Like, he was having withdrawals so
Jerry,
bad.
I love you. We're going to go.
Okay.
I've heard this story several times. It's still a hitter. Still works. But love you, brother. I want to talk.
Love you too, brother.
Stuff, but get this man talking about health, gut stuff. He'll just go on and on and on. He's a fucking sweetheart. Look at that little face.
Forever.
He will just go forever. He'll talk about fucking trans-dimensional aliens and then bring it back to poop, and then he'll talk about.
I think it's good though, because you know, people that are.
Everything's about poop.
That's what it's all about.
It is.
It's all about poop.
Yeah.
It's all a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'll see. Bye, dear brother. Oh, you're. Oh, yeah.
I'm just leaving this
Okay.
space. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Well,
It's been an hour. I thought it was a lot longer. That's not bad.
So did you pause it?
No.
Okay.
I just checked it. I just want to see what it was.
All right. So I started doing this deep dive into how to do a safe way of doing exactly that where I have no ADHD. So
Yeah.
how I
I want to
ultimately
be your guinea pig.
What's
I want
that?
to do it to myself, and then I want to do it to my dad.
I got you. Yeah, and there's it's a regiment, and it's a whole attitude. What I do is I train people how to listen to their body, actually listen, because most people saying they're listening to their body, they're actually listening to their yeast, which is lying to them.
Yeah.
So listening to their body, it takes some practice and it takes some fine tuning. And there's a diet plan, and then of course restoring the keystone bacterias, which the collective we've gotten together and we've created these together for each other so we can share and everything. So I'll go over it with you for sure. When I came up with this, what I found is that, okay, so zapping out the yeast is a problem potentially, because you might be only zapping out the weak ones, and then what you have remaining is potentially some stronger ones. So antifungals, not the best thing to start out with, right?
Yeah.
Restoring the flora that is naturally been in us. It's literally in 100% of all mammals. That is only absent in 99% of the Western world. That is the ticket, because that's how we were originally raised, right? So there's a number of ways that these bacterias work. Number one, they change the pH of your body. They're allelopathic as well. They change it so bacteria grows really well, which makes them into keystone bacterias, which means they, like a keystone of an arch, they hold all these other bacterias. They'll literally take things out of dormancy. So like, pretend your gut is a rainforest, and it's supposed to have all these different plants that are all capable of making all these different medicines that are wonderful for the rainforest. They all have their properties of it. And one day someone gave you something that wiped it all out and made it so it was only grassland. You're missing some stuff.
For sure.
And so grassland, as you know, can easily be taken over by weeds. You know, it doesn't have the complex ecosystem that keeps everything at bay. So what this does is it changes the pH. So some of the things like the Brazil nuts or whatever it is, the seeds that are buried deep, that are dormant, they've been dormant perhaps decades in your life. Ever since you had that first antibiotic, they start coming back out.
Wow.
And they bring them all into fruition. And they have their own, like these keystone bacterias, they have their own properties too that make you into, like, just with the mental health and with the body strength. Like, I get more attention from not just like people of the opposite sex, but just people in general. Like, I know my skin's glowing and I can tell, like, I'm just a lot healthier. People say, you look really healthy, which was a complete 180 change from that person I looked in the mirror. So ultimately, this was the drive I needed. This was the goal. This was the person who needed to show me the 10-year-old self said, find this, right?
Yep.
So it does it by changing the pH. It does it by, or tending your soil. It does it by zapping out nasty bacteria out of you. There's something called a bacteriocin, which is essentially like a sniper, a pinpointed antibiotic that only hits out specific bacteria, and it's made by these bacteria.
Yeah.
So they drown out the nasty things like the H. pylori's and some of the other things that they cause ulcers or whatever it is, right? It also, let's see, it works by masking a lot of the effects that the yeast has. That yeast telling you, no, go ahead, eat that Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah.
It will mask that urge. So there's all the people, they're like, man, I have zero sugar cravings whatsoever, which made it so I had my stepping stone to quit drinking alcohol. I needed that because, man, in the old days, a Miller Lite could just go down like water. I could sip them down, just especially that first one or two, just, oh, I needed that.
Yep.
Especially in college, like right after class, like it's Friday.
Yep.
Crack open a beer, shower beer, you know, we have a whole
yeah.
culture related to it, right?
Oh, totally.
That's purposeful too. I'll get into that. But basically, I silenced that, which gave me the courage to not. The other one was the vaping. So we're inhaling sugar right into our system, right?
Yeah.
And that sugar is making that yeast in your lung now. And now it's like, you need that. So I was able to kick that too.
That's super interesting.
So that's stuff, like, this is all stuff a part of the program. I'm helping people get rid of all of their addictions, right? And the way I did that was a combination of taking this drink that gets rid of and outcompetes the yeast. Oh, that's the other thing it does. It outcompetes the yeast to get rid of it. It's fighting for the same resources, but by silencing it, I was able to, like, the vape was really tough. Man, I'd see someone just holding a pen and be like, man, I really need something. But I never bought one for myself. I bought them for other people. People would give them to me and be like, please don't. I will hit it, and I don't want it in my house.
For sure.
I can go fine without it if I don't see it. That's where I'm at right now. But, like, when I'm at a party, I'm a freaking chimney. I cannot help it,
For
right?
sure.
But smoking mullein, mullein, mullein is a leaf which grows wild all over the West. It probably grows wild here in Austin, but you can smoke it, and it does something. It pulls nicotine and sugars out of you, I believe is how it works. Yeah. And I think the way it works too, because, like, I could go without the vape, but as soon as I hit it once, I'm like, I need it. Yeah. I
Your
gotta
brain's
have
like,
it.
whoop.
It's like it needs friends, you know?
Totally.
Same with, like, I can go without eating a Girl Scout cookie, but if I have one, I gotta finish the sleeve. There's no chance.
Totally.
And they made the sleeve smaller too, so now I have to have two sleeves because it's not giving me the same experience as the last time I was finishing sleeves.
Pint ice cream or no ice cream?
Exactly.
You don't eat a little ice cream.
So when I was after I finished and was finding this safe route, what I did was I had to reverse all the progress I made because I'm like, this method that I'm doing is going to kill people. I don't want to do that. Okay.
The purging.
The purging, yeah, because
It's too strong.
I mean, you're suicidal, but not strong enough to do anything about it. But all it takes is one person who just has a little bit enough, and they will off themselves. I see exactly how it made people off themselves. It makes it so you have like your plans, your list of things that you do, like they're ordered in a way, right? It's like, oh, I need to buy a car, but you can't just go buy the car. You have to get the money first.
Yeah.
Before the money, you have to get a job.
Yep.
To get the job, you have to write a resume. So in order of things that you need to write in your list of things, you need to do the resume first. Then you get the job. But then you're like, but yeah, I want the car though. You got to get the car. And you're like, oh yeah, I have to get a job. Oh yeah, the resume. And then you're like, damn, I wish I had a car right now. And you're like, and then you get stuck in these loops.
Yeah.
They get real tight. And it's not just that one. Like all of a sudden you have enough power to push one of those back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, and then there's that hole in the roof. And you're like, oh yeah, I gotta fix that. Yeah, but I gotta get a car. But then you're like, yeah, I gotta get the money. And you're like, wait, no, I could get a ride, but no, I gotta get a car. And you get in that loop now. And then another one, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. And all of a sudden there's like 30 in your head that are making so you can't think about what you're doing because you're putting most of your brain power into trying to suppress thoughts that are literally nagging in the back of your mind. And this is what I call staring at the devil in his face. Because after enough of these, you go, oh my God, I don't really have any of my shit together. I can't even. I'm literally sitting at my house. I have friends who are there hanging out with me. I host co-working space in my house on the east side. It's awesome. It's empowering. People learn how to be self-employed with each other, and that's why they're there.
That's cool.
And it's a lot of people who are working from home who are also learning how to be self-employed, which is the bug they need. It's a whole attitude, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hanging out with them, and I'm like, and my friends don't even like me. And they're literally hanging out with me, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they're using me or something. And then, no, they're like, they don't need to be here. And I'm like, yeah, in the car, fuck, I don't have a car. And I do have a hole in the roof. And then enough of these build up and you're like, oh my God, I can't even have this house. This house is too much. I cannot. Oh no. And I'm in the middle of a yeast cleanse and I don't even realize it. And I go, I need to put this house under my sister's name or something. I need to get rid of it. It's too much. But before I do that, I came up with this plan. I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do this, all this planning to get rid of me, I need to at least see this yeast cleanse through. Because I basically reversed it by just doing regular stuff with just drinking and eating pizza whenever someone offered it. And I took this antifungal that put me in this state.
Yep.
And now I'm feeling these feelings that I shouldn't.
Yep.
And I forgot I took the antifungals. And I go, all right, I'm going to see this through. I'm going to try that new antifungal that I was looking at. And I walked up to this antifungal and I go, oh my God, I took this yesterday and the day before. This is why I feel the way I feel. Oh my God, this is dangerous. So what I did was I wrote a list of, I took some diatomaceous earth first because that is a nice absorber. You can take bentonite clay, you can take zeolite clay, you can take all kinds of things, and it pulls out all these chemicals, LPS being one of them, and makes it so you're no longer absorbing this in your blood. And within the hour, I started feeling better. Within 3 hours, I was like back to normal.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, that would have been a rough situation if I offed myself over that.
Yeah.
But what I did was, while I felt terrible, I wrote a list of 35 reasons about why I'm worthless. And then when I felt better, I looked back at that list and I went, okay, so half these things aren't even a thing anymore, but they were. It's all based on truth, you know? And the other half, okay, this one right here in the list, oh my God, I have done so much work on this. Even from the last 3 months, I am a whole different person. I am growing. And now I have a list of all my insecurities. So because of this step, what I do is when I put people on this thing, what typically happens is on like day 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they start going through a very minuscule version of this. This is why I do this version of it, because it keeps people safe. But I have them call me and I talk to them. I say, hey, remember, this is temporary. They're like, oh, yeah, it is. Oh, God. And I say, take the diatomaceous earth. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I said, take this opportunity because this is called the empathy stage. They go, why is it called the empathy stage? I said, because people who feel the way you feel now exist all over. And you are the one who has the privilege to do this. And next time you're hanging out with regular people or even seeing homeless people, you'll see that a lot of these people just have stronger versions of what's going on in you. And you're going to see now how much of your mind is literally controlled by your gut. It is a straight up species that is taken over your body. Almost like if you looked at your computer and 90% of your CPU was from some hacker who put a Bitcoin miner on you. It's literally eating up the entire bandwidth of you to where you can't do anything. It's a parasite, and it works really, really well. So then when they get better, they have this thought about like, yeah, you can start seeing the pain in the people. You can start seeing the LPS. And I have some roommates who were like, LPS. And then I took them through it and they're like, holy shit, LPS. I see the LPS. I see where the LPS is going. And what I've done is I've used this as an opportunity to work with my community. I work especially with my community. I only go by word of mouth, people who want to work with me. I don't advertise whatsoever. The website that I threw up, thegurt.life, was literally just something I can show people really quick so they get an idea of who's in the community, who's doing it. But somehow over 4,000 people are a month are looking into this, and I have no way of contacting me through this program, which is great. I love it.
So awesome.
So with the collective, we're solving things. There's a lot of people, like people with herpes in the mouth, all of a sudden their lips puff up on day 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it goes away, complete remission. Who knew it was a cofactor? Here's how it's a cofactor. Yeast, it's got paralyzing factors, right? It has, of the 400 plus metabolites, it will paralyze you. That's how you see these drinkers, these heavy drinkers with dancer legs, and they got this big ass gut on them. It's literally quarantined parts of their body that is numbed by the yeast, that the body's like, throw some fat around it, protect us. We don't want that leaking in ourselves. In there, parasites can hang out. Yeah. Heavy metals can hang out. Your body's not getting rid of it. So that's why when you release this back in your system, it's like, oh shit, you're getting all of it at once. Wow. So you have to have binders to pull this out, right? Yeah. But like paralysis, people who snore, that's paralysis of the soft palate. People with Bell's palsy, paralysis of the face. People who get myopericarditis, that's paralysis of the heart. People with Alzheimer's, paralysis of the brain, which I'm gonna get into that in a second. That's plaques, they thought, right? I'll tell you about that. People.
What we'll do is we'll keep going here, but you should come back sometime, and then we'll hit like super specific on just the protocol and the specific ways each of those can be addressed in detail.
That sounds great.
Yeah, like this is a good, perfect intro to everything, and then that can be like go into it. And I really want to, but I think having them separate will be good. That way, some people will listen to that one, and some people will listen to that one, and some people will listen to both. But I want to be super fresh because I want to go.
Let's do a deep dive in each one of them.
I want to do a deep dive, and I want to be more present. Like I'm present, but like my brain's a little tired, right? And I want to give it the due diligence to like, and that information's so important that I want to like, let's do that again. You know what I mean?
Sounds great.
And then we can just address that because this was super dope. Hearing all that stuff, and you could tell there's so many conversations we could have. Like there's
from each one, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how do you just navigate?
I do have one that I would love to wrap up.
But I think this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like this is perfect. I feel like you got a really good, like it's the origin story of to like this now, right? And then we'll go into like the actual.
Well, I want to tell you about the Wellness Collective. And so that's the big thing.
Please do.
We've solved so many things from psoriasis to ulcers to eczema to ADHD to Alzheimer's, which I reversed my grandpa's. In each of these cases, it's just brought such a strong community. And what every single one of these people is, number one, is they're a case study. So we're working with your data. Number two, you're part of a big part of the collective. You figured out how to heal yourself with collaboration. So because you're such a good investigator, you're a detective on your own body, because the reason you came to me is because you've already tried a lot of things.
Totally.
And you know what hasn't worked. You are so valuable to our community. So I have hundreds of people who are all solving their things, their mental health crises, and they're all coming together, and we're getting together and we're having chats once a week on this. Real short ones.
That's so sick.
And we're having once a month. We're having like, today we're going to talk about diverticulosis, you know? We're all going to chat. What does it mean? Where does it come from? How did you know you had it? How did it show up in you?
That's so cool.
And we're getting
That's
all the
really
people
cool.
to talk about it, because remember, HIPAA is not there to protect you.
Yeah.
It's there to make you quarantine yourself. So when you find out, oh my God, you know how many people have diverticulosis? It's a lot. You are not alone. And because you don't talk about it all the time, you don't even realize. But when you get together with people of your same issues, you figure out how to work them together. And you do a really good job. And because of this, I'm also getting healers, lots of healers. I have body workers, acupuncturists, Chinese herbs. I have over 30 doctors, holistic doctors, some that are like really super hidden who couldn't handle the Roman system. And what they did is they're joining in with me, and they're prescribing my methods to other people, and it's awesome. This collective is getting huge. So
That's so sick, dude.
thank you.
Congratulate, like, that's awesome.
And so this is what a health network, I figure, should be. People getting together, because the old way, the Roman system says, put all of the onus on one human being. Put it all, hey, this is the Catholic way. If you want to learn anything, learn it through me. Hey, you don't need to take care of your health. We got you.
You can hear it in every doctor's voice. That's why I stopped going to any, like, for the most part, Western medicine. It's like, you aren't even allowed to have a conversation. You have, like, if you do have thoughts, you can see them looking at you, judging you to, like, see, like, what is this stupid peon about to say? And then they might react by being like, that was okay, but you get, like, maybe a question.
Yeah.
And you better not waste my time asking me shit, because I'm the fucking
I got another guy in like 2 minutes. You're going to have another appointment.
Well, like, I kind of, you're nervous, right? You're like,
Yeah.
like, I don't go anymore, but like back in the day, you're like, well, I kind of have an elbow thing. And you're like, no, this is what it is. I'm not going to show you any of your blood work. I'm not going to da-da-da-da-da. And then they don't even ask you about anything about your life or anything, but it's like, to question me?
Right.
I'm like the fucking Pope. I'm the medical establishment. And I remember I would question it so much, and you can see it with the older generation. They're like, it almost breaks their brain. Like, it's the doctor.
Right.
You just do what the doctor tells you, right? He tells me how I reach God or whatever. Like, he holds everything. Like you're saying, like, I don't question him. It's like
He's got all the power.
he doesn't.
Well, but to their point, and I do want to say this, it is the system that's turned them into this.
And I try to frame that to people too. I go, you can't vilify the doctor. I've been trying to, like, it's the system. So they're thinking in the, like, they know the rules for soccer. They're playing soccer. It's not because they're a bad person. They're just playing soccer, right? They can only operate with that rule book. And so their reactions make sense because that's their frame.
Right.
They can't, and if you try to challenge the frame, it's like, they can't, because it's not within the frame. You can't be like, well, maybe I should do saunas a couple times a week. And they're like, what do I do with that? What do I do with that?
It's like when you meet someone a surgeon, if they were born with knives for hands, everything looks like something you need to cut.
Totally.
Right? And so when you go to the surgeon, they will tell you need it. You go to the orthodontist, they're going to tell you need braces, I promise.
That's why, like, I'll have clients, they'll go, they have like a back problem. I'm like, do not go to the doctor, because he's going to tell you.
He's going to give you pain medicine.
He's going to, like, we should operate.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a million other things we could do to heal that. Have you tried any of them? Like, let's try those first. And he for sure is not going to recommend any of them.
Right.
He's not going to be like, maybe you should walk more. Have you ever tried,
They don't
like,
even talk about diet.
gentle stretching? right? Like, have you, like there's a billion things that you could maybe do. Like, have you tried strengthening your core a little bit? Instead, let's just do surgery. And most times it fucks it up more.
And if you look at the basic, like their nutrition understanding is so low. Like I was talking to my doctor friend who's got kind of a piss poor understanding of nutrition, but he told me, he goes, man, we had one class on nutrition, which I'm like, that's the entire foundation. You need to know the nutrition.
And I was trying to study in community college, never made it through the system, but we're like, maybe I should be a physical therapist, which is considered, I guess, like, you have to get it's like PhD, right? So you have to get your nutrition, you have to get a nutrition credit. And it's probably what that is. It's just somewhere in there you got to do all you do, the way they study nutrition is like vitamin C or like oranges have this much, it's like broken down, really data driven of nutrition. It's not really like nourishing your body. It's all about like the percentages of magnesium and then vitamin C and vitamin D. And it's like
convoluted so much that you don't even know what's going on. But the reality is, if you get a mix of this and this, you get it all. If you eat the rainbow, you get it all.
And you walk out knowing nothing really. You know food under a microscope if you were looking at it like that individually. Like you're not like, oh, I understand that strawberry has this and this, but you don't really. It doesn't. Like no one walks out and be like, "Oh, I know how to eat better." So not one person goes to that class. That's not what you learn. You learn numbers.
To your point, someone has mapped out some of it to figure out that there's somewhere around 30 to 60,000 different enzymes and coenzymes, aka that's what a vitamin is. It's a coenzyme, and we've actually named about 200 to 300. So, in terms of the grand scheme of 30 to 60,000, this is how much we're actually basing our understanding on. And like, oh, well, you need to get these. And it's like, no, you got to get all of this. Okay? So, I want to say, too, so, again, it's not exactly the doctor's fault. They're kind of looking at a way of how to heal without really knowing how to heal. The system puts them in a place to where they don't know how to talk to someone, especially most of the people who come to them are not really bright. Like, we're intelligent people. There's a good portion of the people in the world are not very bright. And it reminds me of, my grandma was really bright, but when it came to computers, she asked me to help her and she goes, okay, so here's what I did. I had the mouse like this, and I had my hand over here, and I'm like, hold on, let me see this. She goes, no, you're not paying attention, you're not looking. And I'm like, no, Grandma, it doesn't really matter. She goes, it does matter. I need to, and I'm like, okay, Grandma,
I've had that experience.
Go ahead. I want to hear you out. And you're giving her the time because she's your grandma. But the reality is, most people do not know how to look at their body. So that is the biggest thing in the collective that we're working on, is how to train yourself to see your body. And I train them. I have a daily message that goes out that just literally asks, how did you sleep? How did you poop? And when I see interesting stuff, I contact them. I go, whoa. That was a really profound dream. A lot of dream journaling, right? Dreams are really intense. You can literally recreate any scenario in your brain that you felt unsafe, and now you feel safe. And so that's why I have them look. I have a lot of profound dreams. That's another episode. But there's the when you have LPS dreams, you literally have these ones that are robbing yourself of actually getting the thing, like where you almost had it and you're like, which robs you of dopamine. This is how LPS works in you. Robs you of your dopamine. Yeah. So that's why, like, when you have, say you get fired from your job, like almost 100% of the time you're going to be sleeping a lot, I promise. And you're going to be like, oh, that's called depression. That's your brain trying to sort it out. It's recreating the scenario, creating safe zones. Like with me, I found just doing this and doing the regimen and continuing to bathe my insides with these keystone bacteria that are good, my dreams are profound. I am solving things from public school, which is a great source of trauma. I have so many less triggers. I still have triggers for sure, but like I would not have the relationship with my girlfriend that I do right now if it wasn't for doing this. Like I'm capable of so much more, and we are able to talk these things through and sort these things out. It's just, it's a complete 180 change. And I want to tell you, so when I was saying about how puts people's brains asleep and it put people like my brother not being able to listen, and only the people who also didn't listen were his friends, and you look, they're all just talking over each other. Reminds me of a cocaine party. You're like, nobody heard a single word.
I mean, I totally believe it. And I want to start even the episode with that, and it has to do with like my dad and all this and the things I've been thinking, and I think you'll be like, yep, 100%. But I gotta watch Tony play.
Okay.
Because
last thing, can I say one thing?
Please,
one last thing.
Please.
A lot of the people who are on this, their friends completely change because they're now capable of listening, and so that's huge.
That's amazing.
But next time, I do want to talk to you about
Yeah.
consciousness. I've been mapping it, so it's really interesting stuff.
I'm super pumped. How do people connect with you?
Yeah. So the best way to connect with me right now. So my Instagram is Beardedlady.life. You can message me at any time on there, and I'll do it. Typically, I'd like to meet you and talk to you. I want to make sure that you're of a pure heart, that we're taking care of each other, because I'm protective of my collective.
Totally.
Okay. And I have literature, and the next step is to start training you into how to recognize your body. I'm going to give you the literature that this is what we know so far. It's all been built by all the people in the collective. You know, I wrote like 90% of it, but then there's a lot of little nuance of people just saying, no, you have to throw this in there. I'm like, yes, I love that information. We need that. We're building a library. We're going to have an entire library of how to solve literally every type of thing. And so we need you. We need your input. We need your knowledge. We need your things. If you're a healer of your own type, we need you too. Well, we're building an awesome collective to where everybody is just sharing their types of healing. So
That's awesome, man. So dope running into you. We're definitely going to do this again. Deep dive into the protocol, what you've developed, how each thing, like the different things that are affected and why. And I think it'll keep getting people to think about their own individual things and start to peel those layers back specifically.
Yeah.
And I think just empowering people to start to think that way, which is what I want. I want people to be able to think for themselves, right? And start to think, put the power in your own hands, and then you may not be able to fix it yourself, but you can definitely go find the help you need through listening to yourself, though. And that starts with being open-minded and listening. And even if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know, it sounds crazy or whatever, keep listening, like test it. Like, do you feel you resonate with it, or do the things do you see like your world around you and does it seem true? And if it does, like maybe just follow the next little thing, and we'll talk about that, like little things to even just try to tweak in your life to just test it. Like, you don't believe me, all right? Do these couple things.
can I say, I'm glad you brought that up, because someone asked me, well, how can I tell that you're not a snake oil salesman? Because I want to know. And the reality is, there are a lot of people in the holistic and wellness space who are snake oil salesmen. Some people don't even realize they are, right?
Yeah.
But
100%.
what every person who is legit has in common, who's actually knows what's going on, is they're willing to break down to the basis and explore every single aspect of every single claim they have.
Totally.
And if they're not willing to do it, and they're trying to lose you with esoteric references, like using big words and things that you've never heard of, and they're like, yeah, and by the way, that's a halide, so, and if they're not willing to break that down for you, you know that they're trying, they either don't know it themselves, or they've been bamboozled or something. Maybe do some research with someone who actually knows.
They're either hypnotized and they don't quite know, but they believe it. And then when you try to go into it a little bit, they start to malfunction.
Yeah.
Or they know it's bullshit and they don't want you to go down those pathways.
Right.
They should, you want it, you're so passionate about it we spent over an hour just explaining the origins of all this shit. There's like, you wouldn't do that if you gave there's no way. You're like, I could have picked something else to make quick money and sell some bullshit.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, you're not gonna know that.
I could have
much.
said, by the way, the Pleiadians told me to do this.
Yeah, you could have
And people were like, oh, really?
And also it's like, you know, I'm not asking, anyways, just, yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful platform.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Like, you do you, I do you, then people connect to this, they come to you, they come to me. Like, it's the mycelium network.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man. All right.